Thank you very much and good afternoon. I'm going to make a presentation which is half in Spanish, la otra mitad en inglés, but the slides will be in Spanish. And this is, part of it is a presentation, part of it is an invitation for something we have been discussing with other producers that maybe we think it's going to be very interesting for the industry in the next year and above. Let me start by saying that Albert's presentation was a very, very interesting one. He gave us a very, very interesting global outlook of what's going to happen. And then the question that always follows is, where's the farmer in all of this? How does the farmer play? I mean, all these scenarios, prices going up, going down, you know, what's going to happen with the coffee producers? We keep talking about sustainability. Let me see if I'm doing this right. We keep talking about sustainability all over the world. And we always say that it has to be the environmental sustainability, we have to have the social sustainability, all the infrastructure and all the work for the communities. But what about economic sustainability? And all these places we all go, these groups, organizations, and so on. And by the way, thank you very much for the kind introduction. I'm not the CEO of the Federation. I just represent the Federation North America. I'm not the CEO of the Federal Federation. But that gives us a chance to see, both in the US, in Europe, in Asia, all over, all these discussions. And you always have these conversations where everybody's talking about the environment, everybody's talking about what's going to happen with the water sources, what's going to happen with the forest, what's going to happen, how do we deal with services for the communities. But no one really asked the question, is the coffee grower being able to just feed himself and his or her family? How does he or she send the kids to school? Do they have the funding for that or don't they? And this is never a real topic of discussion. That always brings us to lots of challenges. I'm going to mention only a few that the coffee grower has, and I'm going to say this a little bit in Spanish and English because I think we need to go there. Estaba diciendo que con todos los temas de sostenibilidad, todos hablamos de los temas ambientales, los temas sociales, pero muy poco hablamos del ingreso del caficultor y de si él o la caficultora tiene la capacidad de alimentarse, alimentar a su familia, educar a sus hijos, etc. Y ese es un tema que es un tema muy complejo. Y plantea unos retos muy importantes en una sociedad, en un mercado de consumo creciente o no, depende de qué números mire uno, con unos precios y unas volatilidades muy complejas para el caficultor y con los retos que significa el cambio climático, que son también muy complejos. According to some analysts, what Albert was saying, we're going to be consuming 200 million bags in the next 15 years. That may be true, maybe not, but it's going to be 200, 220, 180, but it's going to be more coffee apparently. And even if it's not, what is going to happen with the coffee grower? I mean, if it's not, and we're having all these stocks piling in the consuming countries, we're in even worse shape than we were thinking. So it's also a huge concern for all of us. If you look at how prices have behaved, and this is not going to all the technicalities, all the part that Albert, financial part that Albert already explained and many speakers, but just do a simple exercise. In 1982, at the ICO, the International Coffee Agreement approved like this price range from 120 to 140. If you were just to bring that price using U.S. inflation, U.S. IPC or CPI in Spanish or English, they would give you a range of 3 to 350, and that tells you, in fact, that although the coffee value chain is creating a lot of value, most of the value is being created from the port on and not before the port. And that's also a big concern, because when you look at socioeconomic indicators in producing countries, and I'm not talking as Colombian here, when you look at Central America and South America and Africa, in Asia, you see in many countries socioeconomic indicators going down, and that's a big concern that we have. Same thing if you were to take just to the range today, the range of 120 to 140 today, and bring it back to 1982, you would have it around 50 cents. So where are we? We should be at 3 or 350 in the end. We're not there. We're very happy we're happy, quote unquote, with the price of 160, 170, 180. But in reality, those are not good prices. So the question is, do we have a coffee business here on the producing side, or do we have an exchange rate business? And this is what I was mentioning there, something very interesting, the correlation, and he used the Colombian example of oil and the exchange rate. So basically, we're having an exchange rate business depending on what happens with oil. And that gives the farmers such a vulnerability that's very, very difficult to deal with. And that's a huge, huge challenge for the future. Then you go to climate change. And climate change is something that, depending who you ask the question to, maybe some other presidential candidates or new presidents don't believe in that, but the fact of the matter is it's there. When you go to the farms in many countries, including Colombia, you will see that it's already there. It's already affecting the coffee growers. It's not something that you can avoid. But the interesting thing is that all scientists will tell you that the consequences of climate change will happen first in the tropical belt of the world, which is in the center of the world. And when you look at the years at which what they call the years when the climate change will be established, let's say, and look at the center of the world, it's going to be, and they use cities. That's the start of the University of Hawaii. And they use Bogotá in 2033, in Lagos to 2029, but then you look at New York is 2047, you look at Moscow is 2063. It's going to be much quicker for us than for anybody else. So on top of that, we're the most vulnerable to climate change. And we're not, and we have lots of efforts, interesting efforts here and there, and very well intentioned, but we really need to tackle this in a very serious way. What happened? Where am I talking here about this World Coffee Producers Forum? Because we had 1 year ago, we were sitting here at Intercafé, and we had this conversation with all the coffee growers associations from Central America, Central and South America, and the Federation. And we said, you know what, we need to raise the issue of economic sustainability in the international agenda, because it's just not being discussed. We need to, it's not an issue of producers, complaining about price or complaining to the industry, or the industry saying you're doing this or that wrong or right. The fact of the matter is, it is a problem. It's going to be a supply problem for the industry. We see it as we call it the private sector approach, in the sense that half an hectare coffee grower is as private sector as the biggest multinational company. They all have their own enterprise, their own business, and they are trying to be successful and profitable. So how do we do this? We start to discuss this whole, how to approach this situation with the Latin American first, and then we start to discuss with the African associations, with IACO, with AFCA, with everybody else, and everybody had the same issues. Some emphasis here, they are different, but everybody has the exact same issues. We went to the Asians, we talked to VCOFA, to Vietnam, we talked to the China Coffee Association, we talked to India, Indonesia, and to Papua New Guinea, and everybody faces the same issues. And everybody sees that all the topics are being discussed only from one side. This agenda is being looked at only from one side. And when you sit at the discussions in Europe and in the U.S. and so on, you never hear about the income of the coffee grower as being one of the top issues that we need to deal with. And that's why we got together and in different occasions in London, and we did it in Ethiopia, we did it in Mexico, we met also in Brazil, in Guarujá with the Brazilian associations. We met in Mexico again in London, everybody together to discuss, okay, how do we do this? And we said we need to sit down, everybody at the same table, to discuss these issues and to look at the viability of the coffee grower as an individual, as a person. the families, the communities. We need to look at this and try to find some kind of a way to approach this collectively. And we discussed the two main concepts that we think have to run this. Is one, co-responsibility, and co-responsibility understood in a positive way. And this is personal for personal experience. We know, and we think this is a very powerful concept to convey what we're trying to convey. When I first came to the U.S. in 1998, I came working for the Colombian government, and I was part of something called Plan Colombia, which was a huge cooperation plan that made Colombia be the third aid recipient from the U.S. after Israel, Egypt, and they became Colombia. And I had the chance to participate with a team, with the government that put the whole plan together. And the way that we were able to gather everybody, Republicans and Democrats, and make it a broad topic approved by everybody, was the concept of co-responsibility. It's not your fault, it's not your fault, it's our problem. We need to sit down and look at it. If coffee growers are not viable, they don't produce the coffee, they don't have the right supply, and I'm not talking just about the high quality washed Arabicas or the Robusta, I'm talking about all the coffee. If we do it in the right way, we will not be able to do this. So what's the status of this? Then the second was the global cooperation. It's not a matter of what can the coffee growers sit down and do without the industry, or all the players, what in Colombia they call the civil society, organizations, NGOs, and so on. Or what can they do without counting on the producers? Nothing. We need to really sit down, everybody at the same table, and look at the situation. And this presentation today is of course the result of lots of and long conversations with producers associations all over the world that agree on this. We need to do this, to raise this issue in the international agenda. And we decided, okay, let's put this whole thing in motion. So let's meet somewhere and invite everybody to meet somewhere to have this discussion. And we came up with doing this in Medellin, in Colombia. And this is the reason why I'm speaking and not someone else. It's not a Colombian event, it's an event from all the associations. Get together in Medellin in July of next year and open this discussion, start this conversation with everybody sitting at the same table. When and where, let's say. Again, Medellin, July 12th and 13th. And how did we put it together? We said, okay, we want to have a discussion that's not the usual suspects. And I said this in a good way. You will not see me speaking there. We want to bring out-of-the-box thinkers, people will come with creative solutions. For instance, one of the topics that Albert was discussing is, how do we increase consumption, not just in consuming countries, but in producing countries? We produce the coffee, we just don't drink it. We really need to tackle that. We need to bring the experts and sit down and have an open and a discussion about that situation. Is it a good idea to have all these different standards and certifications and so on out there where the coffee grower spends some money, and in many cases, and there was a presentation that showed that, they don't get the premium they're looking for. So is it a good idea? I mean, conceptually, yes. Saving, care for the environment and the communities and so on is something we all should be doing. But is that helping the income of the coffee grower, or on the contrary, is it hurting the income of the coffee grower? And even when they get the premium, if they get the premium, does the premium compensate what they spent in putting their farms in the shape to comply with all the things that on the consuming side is expected for them to comply? All these questions, I don't have the answers, but those are questions that we really need to look at and to discuss. From climate change to what do we do with volatility? The market is the market. The prices, I mean, it is what it is. But we need to find ways for the coffee growers to not continue being poorer and poorer every day. And depending on the country, some countries are doing better than others. But as I was saying before, in many cases, we end up being very happy because we're at 160, but that's not really good price. But also, we're happy because we have an internal good price because of the exchange rate. And then if some decision regarding oil takes place or some juncture in the market, Oil will go up and coffee will go down again. Go back to Albert's presentation, which I like very much. So this is the whole discussion. After that, the group that we've been working with said, okay, let's think of someone that can open this, that give the note of this discussion. So we approached Jeffrey Sachs and said, okay, what do you think of this? And we started having that person did had the discussion with him in New York. And again, what do we do with this? How do we approach this? And would you be able to set the tone for this? So we said, fine, so sure. So we said, okay, let's have the meeting in Medellin. Let's invite everybody, have producers from associations and producers from all over the world. A team from Colombia, just to give you an example, is going to Vietnam in the next few days, next couple of weeks, and they will be sitting with the Vietnamese government and with WICOFA to plan the participation there, which they already agreed on. I'm having here lots of some of the group that's been working here, like Ronald Peters, from Costa Rica, like Mickey Wheeler, like Guido Vargas, René Leon, all those them they have been working with us. Stephen Robinson, who's there from Jamaica. We've been having these discussions with and trying to put this together. So the only thing I want to do is invite you to come to Medellin in July. We'll be working a lot with the coffee growers. We're going to bring coffee associations and every coffee growers from all over the world. The agenda is going to be, I guess, the same topics that we all discuss, but from the producer standpoint, not just from anyone else's standpoint. And we want to have an open discussion that's going to be constructive, positive, maybe critical at some points, even with producers themselves, but having very open discussion because we think we're a very, very difficult juncture. For that, we have a web page, and this is kind of the sales pitch, but we have a web page, it's the worldcoffeeproducersforum.com. It will be up and running on December 1st. For all of you, or those of you who want to attend and look at what's going to be and so on, this is what we're going to do. I asked my colleagues if I'm missing something. I'm just the spokesperson for the. I guess I'm not missing anything, but I'm open to any questions you may have, and we really hope to see everybody there. And we're ready to answer questions. We're going to have a team assembled to put this together. Everything will be on the page on December 1st, so we can start moving putting this in motion. So thank you very much. I don't know if I have any questions or. So if not, lunch awaits, I guess. All right. Thank you.